I'm delighted to welcome you all to this Google Meet session hosted by the Finance Business Partners of Bafemi Awolowo University community. So you might be wondering, who are the Finance Business Partners? Basically, we are a community of finance and accounting professionals committed to changing the narrative of the finance profession. And we do this by providing mentoring and coaching services to young individuals who want to build a career in accounting, finance, business, and related fields. In the course of the meeting, the link to our social media accounts will be posted in the chat box. Please do well to join. Today, we have invited a highly accomplished professional who will be guiding us through how to seize opportunities and stand out in the corporate world. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Oluwatobi Fadebiyi. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Oluwatobi Fadebiyi, a highly accomplished professional in the field of tax, global mobility, HR, and awards. She is known for her analytical expertise, leadership, and commitment to providing outstanding services. Oluwatobi is currently the global mobility partner at Max Shipping and Logistics, Maidenhead, London, a role she has held since March 2023. In her current role, she is responsible for policy advisory and consulting for all international moves within the region of Africa and Maghreb. Prior to this role, she worked at KPMG, Canary Wharf. At KPMG, she has been instrumental in various high stakes, such as serving as the primary contact for individual tax queries from one of the world's largest oil companies. She was also the lead liaison for one of the largest chemical companies, overseeing the transition of employee recruitment across over 10 countries. Her experience with KPMG follows a long tenure at PwC Nigeria, where she served in various capacities from tax consultant to assistant manager. While at PwC, Oluwatobi led numerous teams and client engagements, which included managing hiring processes for government institutions, conducting staff capability assessments for non-profits, and directing business development in technology and NGO sectors. Our innovative approaches led to significant savings for multiple clients, demonstrating our proficiency in tax, audit, and personal income tax matters. Oluwatobi is a graduate of the University of Lagos, where she earned a bachelor's degree in estate management. She is a member of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA. Her thought leadership extends to publishing articles on subjects ranging from taxation to employer obligations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Oluwatobi's dedication and professionalism has earned her various awards, including the New Joiner of the Year and the Staff Year at PwC Nigeria. Please join me in extending a virtual round of applause as we welcome Oluwatobi Fadebiyi.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. So a bit of background about myself. So first, my maiden name is Fadeyibi, not Fadebiyi. So that's just so subsequently it's Fadeyibi, not Fadeyibi. It's Fadebiyi, yeah. And so a bit about myself. My name is Oluwatobi. Throughout this session, you can just call me Tobi. That's fine. And up until last year, I lived in Nigeria. So I was born and bred in Nigeria. And I went to secondary school in Nigeria, Command, and then Unilag, where I studied estate management. And I worked in an estate firm briefly for a little over a year, and then PwC Nigeria and KPMG London, and now I work with Maersk London as well. So just before we proceed, I'd just like you to drop on the chat, everyone, what's your expectation from this session? What would you like to learn? What do you want to know? Just generally, you can just drop it on the chat so I take notes. No one has said anything. Can you guys hear me? Are you with me? Okay.
Yes, ma. We can hear you, ma.
Okay.
Please kindly use the chat box to drop your expectations for tonight's session.
Okay. Right skills. Right skills. Position yourself strategically. Okay. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'll just proceed, and I hope that in sharing more details about my journey and my experiences, you can learn and make notes and be better finance professionals, right? So first, as Omodara mentioned, I studied estate management, right? So how did I find myself in the finance space? So I think one very important thing is first to be aware of your environment, your country, and the opportunities that are bound, right? You would agree with me that there are some courses that you study, and if you do your research, you see the long-term growth, you may wonder, okay, what is in it for me? What does it take for the professional qualification? Would I not be comfortable until I'm a partner or something? So that was first one of the things that I thought of, right? And they're just looking around me, what opportunities are there and all, right? So that's the first thing. But before even moving into the career world, education is important, right? No one can overemphasize it, right? If you so education would make a way for you, right? No matter how skilled you are, or if you feel, okay, no, I'm street smart, I'm not book smart, there are some doors that would not be open for you until you have some certain level of degree, right? So the first thing I would say is education is completely important, and even in school you need to find a balance, right? You need to find a balance. So throughout my stay in school, I was in fellowship, right? But in as much as God is extremely important, is why I'm here and all, you cannot use that as an excuse not to study, not to make sure that you finish with good grades, not to build those relationships, even with your colleagues, or in this case, with your classmates, right? So the first thing I would say is don't let anybody deceive you. Even if you want to go into business and all, your target should be finishing school with a first class or a 2-1, like the minimum, because that's the door that it's going to open for you. And with most big fours in Nigeria, here in London, it's not really important, but with most big fours in Nigeria, they won't consider you, right? If you finish with less than a 2-1, they just won't consider you. So that's first things first. And then the second thing is so transitioning to application, starting early career and all, right? So I also served in Lagos, and then during IT, I worked at an estate firm, and after NYSC, during NYSC and after, I worked for the estate firm. So the first thing I would say is awareness, right? First of all, look at yourself and be true to yourself. Where someone is succeeding does not mean you are going to succeed in that same place, right? So once everyone finishes school, some people say, okay, I want to do my master's. Some people say, I want to do this business and all. So first, you need to ask yourself a question. What do I want to do, right? Where do I want to be in? Do I want to do masters? Don't say, oh, because everyone is doing masters, then you want to do masters. No. Do I want to work? If do I want to start a business? And fine, you can start a business, but I would always say that there are skills you get in a structured professional environment that you can even use in your business, right? So there's that as well. So once you are true to yourself, and then you can start to align yourself to those things. And the truth is, until you're self-aware, you would not see opportunities that are in that place that you want to follow, right? So once I'd stayed in the estate firm for a while, and then I understood that, okay, for estate firms, also know your strengths and weaknesses. For estate firms, you need to go out and market a lot, trying to close properties. You may have 10 portfolios, and you can just close one or two, right? So I knew that for me, I did not like this, trying to convince people to buy stuff. It was just not my strength. And for someone else, it may be their strength, but for me, it was not my strength. That was the first thing. Second thing, I did research and I saw that, okay, everyone working in Big Four, first, what's the criteria? You don't have to study accounting on it or anything, right? So what's the criteria? How do I get into this? So that's the other thing. Then another thing to say is no man is an island, right? Once I knew that, okay, I wanted to go to a Big Four. Interestingly, I only applied to PwC at the time, right? So I know some people would apply to, different Big Fours or other second tier estate firms. That's fine. You can cast your net wide, right? But I only applied to this. So another thing I want to say that would help you grow and stand out is, so just by a show of hands, how many people have started applying, submitting their CV, and they use the same CV for 100 applications? How many people are guilty? Trust me, don't be shy. Just raise your hand. Is there anyone guilty of always doing this? Oh, I want to apply for a doctor, the same CV. I want to apply to be a lawyer, the same CV. I want to apply to this place, the same CV. Is anyone guilty of that? Okay, thank you. So the first thing is what to notice, there are 1,001 CVs and you need to attract that recruiter in no time. Like, you need to get their attention as soon as possible. So the first tip I would say is, once you start applying, take the extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes to fine tune your CV. Application for job is no longer business as usual. Like, you need to stand out. These recruiters are getting a lot of CV. So I would say, for example, you have some experience with, let me say audit, for example, right? Let me say you have audit, tax, personal income tax, payroll and all, right? You have that experience. But this particular race for audits, you can just take 10 minutes. What would you do in 10 minutes? All those audit experience that are relevant to this role, you move them forward, right? You make them the first thing to see. You make them so that they are just in front of that recruiter. They're like, okay, oh, this has caught my attention. I like this particular role. I'm interested in this CV, right? So that's the first thing that you want to do. Go through the job description, fine tune your CV. And with me, with all my roles that I've transitioned over the years, I've had several CVs when I felt like, okay, it's time to leave this role, it's time to leave that role. So you need to stay relevant, right? Fine tune your CV such that you are catching the attention of their recruiter immediately. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing in standing out is interviews, preparation for interviews. Typically, there's an aptitude test, and there's so many resources online, YouTube and all, right, where you can see past questions, you can practice, you can review, you can fine tune your I think it's called personal aptitude test. Yeah, you can fine tune that and also just preparing for that, right? The other thing is through the interview stage. For typical PwC, and I think even other Big Four, is usually a round table. So you don't want to go in, even if you're an introvert, you're shy and all. These interviews is an opportunity for you to sell yourself. So you need to think that if there are 10 people on this round table, what do I do to sell myself? And something I did during my interview with PwC in 2016 was, most people just read notes, read materials and all, right? Some people forget about the website. What is in the news for this business? And one thing I did that stood out was, okay, everyone was talking, and then I said, oh, so Uya Pata, the country senior partner, was in the news recently, and he said this and all. And after the general interview, when we went into the one-on-one, they said, where did you get this information from? So what this does is, it tells the recruiter that, oh, this person is interested in this role. It's not just about money. It's about, okay, what's going on? What's in the news? What is the CSR they are doing? What services are they offering? Are you staying relevant? Commercial acumen. Do you know what is going on in this particular role? So that's also something that it's important, right? So I think I've covered, okay, the tips on even getting into the corporate world. And then once you've gotten in, what do you need to do? So there's generally a bandwagon behavior where you say, let me just offer the bare minimum, right? After all my mates are not doing so much, but that's not good enough. What is worth doing at all is worth doing well. And we're in a generation where everyone is a generation of instant noodles, right? Everyone wants to get to the top, but sometimes you need to grow, you need to learn, and people are watching this. People are really watching this, right? To transition from Big Four to maybe the industry, you need to know your onions. You can't go to industry and they're going to train you the training that PwC and all will give you. No, they're not going to do that. So during this period, you need to stand out. You need to put in a lot of work, right? Rome was not built in a day. When I started with PwC, I was living in, and I'm saying this personal story, so you don't say, oh, maybe she was born with a silver spoon or something. On the contrary, no. Like, I was born in Lagos. I was born in May Hospital in Lassa. I went to Command Secondary School in Paja. So it was just being grateful to my parents to say, oh, okay, they've given me this, but taking it a step further, right? Taking it a step further. Okay, can I better myself? Can I do more? Right? Because 60 years down the line, sometimes the way we obviously not in front of our parents, but say, is Dangote not your mates? It's the same way in 60 years. When they are really successful people, our children to be like, so and so not your mates. So what were you doing then, right? So it's important you've gotten that background, but better yourself, strive to be more. So, then I was staying in Ikeja, PwC office is in Landmark on Mondays. Oh my goodness, maybe I'll wake up like 4 o'clock, and 4:30, I'm out, 6, I'm at work, right? But those things, at that point, it may feel really stressful, but learn it all you can. Be like a sponge, soak it in. So some of the things I was doing in PwC was, I was marked to tax from the onset. So I've never been in audit and assurance. I was marked to tax, and specifically I was in the people and organization unit. So typically what we do is payroll, post payroll, shadow payroll. Shadow payroll, just an example, shadow payroll is, so you would have expatriates. Expatriates are non-national, so citizens from other countries coming into the country. And now I'll be a bit technical, but I'll try to break it down. So when they come into this country, the general concept is because of this assignment means that you are going somewhere for a particular period of time. So as a result of this assignment, you should not be better off or worse off. It should be as though when you were in, let me say, for example, India, right? So shadow payroll means that you would bring them into the Nigerian payroll, process their taxes and process the amount, process their taxes and social security, and just deduct that. Because they are working in Nigeria, then they should be paying taxes in Nigeria, right? Just let me know if I've lost you, but I'm trying to keep it very surface, just very high level, but let me know if I've lost you. So you bring them into that payroll and then just deduct taxes and social security, right? And once you deduct that, you would their net takeaway. So typically what is eating their account will still be paid in their own country, in this case India, but you are just deducting taxes and social security. So I was doing that as well. Global mobility, then personal income tax audit. So where you would hear that maybe FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Services, doing audits. I wasn't in that unit, so I was in state tax authorities, maybe for example LIRS, OGIRS, FCTIRS. So that was typically what I was doing while I was in PwC. So I started as a trainee associate, right? So the first few years there are a lot you would have so much to do. As at that time, I think I had like over 30 clients, right? You would have so much, but learn all you can. And while you are learning, so I'll give you an example. I joined in October, and then right off the bat, I joined in October. The whole of October was for training and induction. And then November, we went into the main office. And then January, we then had to file returns. So in Nigeria, personal income tax returns, or PAYE, which is pay as you earn, is due to be filed on or before 31st January of the following year. So which means that coming into 2017, just 3 months, we had to file returns. So that period is extremely stressful, but I learned so much. During that period, I took a step back and I said, okay, what is delaying the filing of returns for my clients? What's the main issue? Is gathering of receipts. Oh, receipts are missing. In this month, you could not save the receipts. So what did I do? From that January throughout 2017, every month, I made sure that for my clients, I got receipts. I had an Excel schedule where I was constantly imputing these details. So time for filing in 2018 January, it was so seamless. And these are some of the things that made me win staff of New Joiner of the Year rather. So these little things, don't be so focused on the problem. Take a step back and say, okay, how can I really do better, right? I've done this. How can I give more so that others will not suffer, right? So that's just one thing. Take a step back. Let me think. I can do this better. I can do that better. Also, give back to the society. The fact that you suffered something does not mean everyone else has to suffer. It's not necessary, right? You probably suffered that thing and survived so that you can teach others. So something else to do is training. Invest in other people, right? Invest in them. So, for example, one other thing that was stressful and I learned during that filing season was consolidation. So consolidation is an Excel function where, for example, you have maybe 5 different Excel sheets and you need to bring them into one, use summary formulas and all. And that was like really hectic. But then what I started to do was prior year November, the new associate that joined while I had grown in PwC, I would do trainings for them. They'd record these trainings and all. So that's just giving back. Such that even if the person leaves now, they would never forget. No knowledge is wasted, right? So just giving back. And the thing is, the more you teach, the more you are stronger, the more it secures your own knowledge. So you shouldn't have the mentality of, oh, I just know it. Let me just keep it to myself. Like, you cannot hide a light under a bushel. No. So no one else is going to steal your light, right? Share it, share the knowledge. And the thing is, someone may wonder, so how does that make me stand out? People are watching. So because of these trainings I was doing in-house was what made me start doing trainings externally, right? So during my stay, before I left, there was a lot of training I was doing for external people in maritime industry, people in government authorities, even ACCA, members. I did 2 or 2 trainings for them. So from internally just doing it, okay, because I want to make the process better. My manager, senior manager started to notice this, and then I was then doing those external trainings. So learn from processes, invest in others, very important. Then something else. So what I'm trying to do is just transition you through my career journey and things I've done to stand out, right? And then I envisaged that there could be a question on, okay, so right now I'm in a dilemma. How do I know when to leave? Do I go to industry? Do I go to Big Four? No. So let me just address that question now, right? This is my personal opinion, right? And it doesn't mean it's one size fits all. I did not do a survey to get to this answer, right? But I would say a fresh graduate, you want to be in an accounting space, maybe you want to be in audit, advisory, and all. Big Four gives you that solid background. You may have another colleague or classmate that went straight to industry. That's fine, right? They will probably be earning more money than you in the first instance. And that's good. They would also learn. But the thing with Big Four is everyone would agree with me that there's a prestige, there's respect that comes with it. Also, there's a foundation you learn because you are surrounded by best and brightest. Everywhere you're surrounded by them. So you can gain from this knowledge. You can learn these things, right? And when I joined PwC, to be honest, I didn't even know how to use Excel. I didn't know. But someone saw that I was interested, I was enthusiastic to learn, and they trained me, right? So this is also to help you in your decision making. If you say, okay, maybe go to industry first, what if it's not a multinational? But you know Big Four, they are multinational. They span across different countries. So you can then say, okay, I've stayed for this long. Okay, what's next? There's also a PwC in London. There's also a PwC in Canada. There's also a KPMG and all, right? So that's that. And then, so I'm going to move to the next phase of my career. But before I go on, does anyone have any question? Or how do you want me to be done with my journey before the questions? What do you think?
Okay. Yes, ma. I think we'll take the questions after the session, ma.
Okay. Please just call me Tobi, right?
Okay.
I'm not Gen Z, but call me Tobi. Tobi is fine. First name basis, yes. So, and I mean, just a tip, big four, we don't say sir, ma. No, I'm sure most of you know Taiwo, Idili. It's Taiwo, right? So, Tobi is fine. Yes. And then okay, so I'd grown from trainee associate to assistant manager in PwC, right? Also, I'm like, okay, so what's the next step? Which is always having that conversation with yourself and staying true to yourself. As at that time, there was the wave of, masters abroad, Canada, or even masters in the UK and all. So I also told myself that, okay, what's next? Do I want to go back to school? No. I need to make money. Cash is king. So I was true to myself. So I said, you know what? It's only worst case scenario that I will start applying for schools, but I want a job. Like, I want to relocate and start working straight, right? So, and then I started to make the process. So this next phase of my journey, what you should take away is tenacity, right? In standing out, don't give up. So for me, when I think of something, and I know this is a general forum, but I'm trying not to be too religious. But the thing is, religion has played a role in my life, right? So once I've sat down with myself and I've said, okay, this is what I want to do, right? And I'm sure that, okay, this desire was put into my heart by God. No matter what it is, I go for it. So everyone was moving and all right. But the snag was that for audit and assurance, you'd agree with me that it's the same standard everywhere. Unlike tax is very jurisdiction specific. So the taxes in Nigeria is different from that in Ghana and all. But audit and assurance is the same standard, or if it's transfer pricing, so it's the same OECD law and all. But I was like, you know what, I can do it, right? Even though tax is different, global mobility is general, right? So let me start applying. So just to encourage someone, before moving to KPMG, not even counting other big four application, just KPMG, it was on my 7th application I got an interview. 7th. I started applying in March 2021. Was it 2021? Yeah, March 2021. So I started applying back to back. There was no even interview, just like sometimes I tell people, if I filter my email by unfortunately, you'd be shocked. So it was just, but yes, 7th, Aisha, 7th. So I started applying back to back. Unfortunately. But I'm like, you know what? What's that word? Now we'll give up, lose. So it's fine. I'm not going to give up. We move. We go again, right? So another thing to help in that mental space is apply and just move on. Don't apply and say, oh, let me wait for them to get back to me. Just keep going until you get an offer. You've not gotten the job, so just keep going. So I was applying March, April. And for me, it was like, God, this tax is a disadvantage. But I'm like, you know what? Don't give up. And sometimes, like we see pressure, like I was applying for ridiculous roles, just like, I need to go. And me, I'm grateful that those roles did not even click, because to be honest, I wasn't even qualified for those roles. I was just applying. But this particular role that I finally got, so I saw it, I took my time, I edited my CV, did everything, and then I applied. So I think, I can't remember when I applied, but I know that while I also had an audit in Abuja, as at that time, so I traveled, and then I was informed that, okay, you have an interview and all right. Also, always go the extra mile. That's something I would say. Even if you have friends that have done interview and you ask them and say, I beg, what did they ask? And no. Beyond that, do additional research. And something I forgot to mention, with PwC, before the interview, they sent us this very big pamphlets of the services they were rendering and all. So during my one-on-one interview, they had asked me so many questions. I'd responded. And out of the blue, they say, okay, do you know the services we provide? Maybe it was just to throw me off guard. But because I went the extra mile, right now, if you ask me all those services, I can't even remember. But for that interview, I knew what I wanted, right? I knew that, in the estate firm, as I then, I think my salary was 45K. I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I knew what I wanted. So I prepared for that interview so well. So fast forward to 2021, I was scheduled for the interview with 2 senior managers. So another tip that I'm going to give you, very important, right? Whenever you have an interview, most times, most advanced countries, they will send you invites before then, and they will send you the name of the people that will interview you. Do your research, go to their LinkedIn, see what they do. Everyone is interested in talking about themselves. If I call someone and say, tell me about yourself, they'll go on and on. This is my achievement and all. So one thing you can do before every interview, read about them. When it's time for questions, ask them about those questions. I would always say, until they ask you, don't talk about salary. It's not necessary. When you get to that bridge, you'll cross it. But when they say, okay, what questions do you have? One question that's always worked for me in interviews, and I've told other people, and everyone has said, oh, it's a beautiful question. If I'm employed for this role in the next 3 months, 6 months, what would your expectation be of me? So that you're not thinking, oh, your expectation is to close all audits. However, your expectation is to make sure that they pay VAT or not before 21st of the month, right? So that they'll see that, oh, you are planning, you are thinking. Feedback is important to you. So that's one thing you need to learn. Second thing is, I've gotten so many DMs where the person just goes on and on. Oh, my name is this, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in this. And to be honest, some of it I just ignore, because you can't just go into someone's DM and just see all your history. You don't even know, maybe this person is in recruiting. You've not gone into the website. For most advanced company, roles are in the website, right? So go there, but go into someone's DM to say, I'm interested in a job. Did I post the job? No. When I go to work, it's to do my work. It's not to search for roles, right? However, if you've even done your due diligence and applied for a role that you see, you can say, okay, I've applied for this role. I was wondering, could you help me put in a word? Or I've been scheduled for an interview. Could you give me any tips? You see the difference. Rather than bombarding me with your CV and say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. What do you want me to do with that? So that's another important tip. Okay, and then for the interview, right? So the first two was with two senior managers, and then I think, I can't remember, maybe a week or two later with 2 directors. And I mean, so that's why I would always say, even if you are finding your way and just roughing it, it will get to stages where you can no longer rough it. Because once you are good, you are good. I mean, these roles now, they were in London, right? So there were skills that, in as much as we see Nigeria, it's not a big deal, I know. I'm telling you for free, right, that we are up to standard. Matter of fact, I dare say some of us are really better than our counterparts in other countries. So if there's one thing you are taking away from this session, believe in yourself. Don't lowball yourself. Don't tell yourself, oh, I'm not enough. This person, this American or this British, they're obviously better than me. No, never, ever, ever lowball yourself, right? Never lowball yourself. Know when to leave, right? So, like, make sure you are the best version of yourself. You grow, you evolve. In interviews, don't be shy. Sell yourself, like go all the way. Sell yourself, right? So I then did these 2 interviews. And another thing is also on fighting. There's really nothing is really offered on a platter of gold, which maybe if your father is rich or I know, but nothing's offered on a platter of gold. And I'll give you an example. I've done this second interview since I think maybe mid-November. So I was waiting, because they said we'll get back to you in 1 week, right? I was waiting and all, saying, okay, I need this response. I need to do this. Like, what's the update of this and all, right? But nothing was coming forth. Nothing was just happening. And I think sometime in December, December 9 precisely, I sent an email. Yes, I think it was December 9, 2021. So I sent an email to this recruiter to say, okay, what is the update of this? And why I'm saying this part of the story is that don't give up easily. Some people would have waited forever to say they've not gotten back to me and so nothing. If you have that opportunity, especially, which is something like these advanced countries, they typically have that. I reached out to the recruiter to say, I did interview now. What's the update? Even if you are going to tell me rejection, let me know. So sometimes don't leave things hanging. Go a step further. I said, let me know, like, what is the plan? What's the update, right? So interestingly, 30 minutes later, she said, we want to offer you the role. So the lesson from that is they are probably giving this recruiter that response a long time ago and she just forgot to email me. Can you imagine? Some people say village people. But even me, I'm ready for the village person, right? I'm ready. So like I'm like, wow, so they have probably done this a long time ago and she just kept mute. So fight, push back, politely ask these questions to say, okay, what's up? I trust you are good. I interviewed on this date and this date. Can you kindly provide an update? This will help me plan, right? So simple, short, and no. So that was one phase, right? On just tenacity. Even if bring things to a reasonable conclusion, close it. Don't just leave it hanging and all, right? So after this, and then they say, okay, fill this form, fill this, fill that, we'll send you an offer. And let me not bore you anyway, but December, January, February, I was waiting for the offer, waiting for the offer, waiting for the offer. Okay, also, I'm going to discuss some things on failure, right? And not lowballing yourself. So when I applied for the role in London, it was for assistant manager as well. And then I did my first interview. So what I want you people to pick from this next few minutes is research is very, very, very important. And in your research, don't compare apples and bananas. Let it be like for like. After I did that first interview, the recruiter called and said, oh, you were amazing, you were good. However, because you don't have UK tax experience, we want to offer you a grade lower, right? Guys, please really listen to this. We want to offer you a grade lower. And I think I said, okay. Number one lesson, especially with, if you're working with international companies, never, ever, 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 ever accept anything they say right then on the phone. No. You may feel, oh, it's a personal touch. They called me personally. Never accept it. Say, can I sleep on it? Can I think about it? So one mistake I made was immediately accepting that, okay, fine, you want to offer me a grade lower. No problem. I accepted that. That's number one. Number two, another mistake that I made, and I'm telling you now so you don't make it, right, is once do your research. Don't say, oh, because you're jackbarring, they say they're going to offer you, let me say your take home will be £2,000, and you quickly carry calculator and say, 2,000 times 1,000, that's 2 million in a month. Oh my God, I don't blow. That's comparing apples and oranges. It doesn't work that way. I'll give you an example. Are your bills going to be in Naira? No. In London, you pay your rent monthly. You pay water, you pay energy bill. So just carrying that calculator and comparing with Naira, it makes no sense. You are going to be lowballed. So those are mistakes I made that none of you in this course should make. Always negotiate your pay. Always negotiate. Do research. Glassdoor. Ask people, okay, what's the pay range? What's this? Giving you for free right now. Typically, recruiters will not offer you the first pay. There's usually a band because I'm also sitting in the rewards team. So this secret I'm telling you people should even pay me for it. But out of the goodness of my heart, I'm going to tell people free of charge, right? There's usually a band of pay. And they typically maybe offer you 40% in the first place. Don't accept it. Right? Just say, oh, can I sleep on it? Ask questions. Say, oh, based on this, based on my experience, based on this, I was thinking if you could review it to this. There's increased cost of living. I'm coming with over 6 years experience in Nigeria. I know that you've not worked with me before, but I have a track record of success. I'm tenacious. I'm also always push back politely, always say no. So don't be narrow. They say, oh, this is what we have, I know. And the good thing is, before they tell you no, most times, they would say, put it in an email. So that's why you need to impress. If you've impressed in interviews, they will not want to lose you. They'll be like, okay, can we do better? Can we do better? If not in pay, can we do a sign-on bonus? Can we do share scheme? Can we do this? Can we do that? So always push back, say politely to say, oh, this, that, and no. So now to my story. December, I did not see the offer. January, I didn't see the offer. February, mid-February, I'm like, okay, now again, I need to take things to another level. Because time was going, like I needed to move and then to drop my resignation and all. And then I sent a detailed mail. So just 1 second, let me try to look for that email just to read it to you. So you'd see how to structure this and how to get people's attention via email. So 1 second, let me just look for it. Yes, found it. So I'm like, okay, dear so and so, trust this mail meets you well. By way of introduction, my name is so, and I applied for this role in the London office. So that's brief introduction, right? This way, he's not racking his brain to say, who is this? Who is this? That's one step. That was one paragraph. Next one, I said, I had my first interview with KPMG UK. I mentioned the 2 senior managers role on 1st November 2021. So you see that this way, I'm making his job easy, right? So it's not wondering, when did she do the interview and all. I'm preempting him. I'm thinking, and this is something you should take during your work. Once, if you're in a junior level and you're sending something to your senior, put yourself in their shoes. Don't just put on an Excel sheet 100. You don't know what time they're going to review it. Once they don't review it at night, they start wondering, where did Uche get this 100 from? Where did Onyeka get this 100 from? Use an Excel sheet. Drop a note. Use Excel formula to say, this is how I got this. Don't say they should know, right? Provide backup. Let your information, let it be easy to understand. Let people be able to trace it. So let me continue with the email. I said, well, I had my first interview with KPMG on these dates and my final interview with you. Okay, so another thing is, another important thing is, once you, okay, I think I'll say this point later. So, and I said, oh, I had my final interview with you and this other person on these dates. I was informed on December 9, 2021 of the business intention to give me an offer, and relevant documents were sent to me to complete, which I did promptly. My initial post-interview contacts left the firm, and I started speaking to this other person for the last 2 months. However, as of today, I am yet to receive a draft offer letter from the team. Please, I was wondering if you could help me reach out to the HR team to help provide some specific timelines. I look forward to hearing from you. And I think within 20 minutes, he responded. So first thing is also know what to escalate to. At this point, I'd been speaking to a recruiter, and recruiter kept on saying so many stories. So also this point is on you fighting for what you deserve, right? What I then did is, by that time, I had someone that was working there. So I said, see, this person interviewed me. Please, I'm begging you. Can you help me get their email? Please, right? So you also need that relationship with your colleague. Don't just say, oh, this person, bye. No. So I said, please get the email. So that was how I got this email. And this person was a director. You would agree with me that director is top notch, right? So what recruiter cannot do, director picked it up ASAP. And contract had been chasing for 3 months. I then got it within 1 week of sending this email. So what's the lesson here? Like, it won't come on a platter of gold. You will just see people saying, oh, I'm excited to share with you that I'm starting this role, but you don't know that journey. You don't know how they fought, right? You don't know that. So fight for what you deserve. Push back politely, right? Be professional in your emails. Do your research. Make sure the person reading it can understand and can grasp the relevant information promptly. So that's that on that journey. Then there's something else that I want to discuss. I think Sean told me that this session would end 6 p.m. So I just want to ask, do you want me to proceed in this pace? If it ends, I'm happy to join again. Or do you want me to be done with everything later 6 o'clock? So what do you want? Or do you want me to just keep taking my time and then we can join if the meeting ends? Okay, so maybe one more response and then I will know if to proceed in this pace. Thanks for the response, Aishat. Okay, no worries. Please, we're enjoying it, Tobi. Where's your people's ma? Where's your ma? Tobi. So that was the journey on getting the offer and then moving. So another thing I want to discuss is failure. First of all, I would link this failure to, some of you may be wondering now, should I write a professional exam and all, right? So I will first tell you for free that with professional exam, it is better to have a support system around you, right? It is so important to start it early. If you can start it now that you're in school, please start it. Because if you are working and writing exam, it is not easy. As in, I'm telling you for free, it's not easy. So if you can start it now, during your breaks, during NYSC, whenever, please start it now. That's one thing. The second thing is, don't be afraid to fail. Professional exam will humble you. And this is me telling you that I think I failed more papers. Like, I wrote more than half paper, more than twice. There are only very few papers that I wrote once, right? Another mistake I made that you guys should not make. If you fail, don't feel like, I'm such a loser, my life is over. Once I had my first fails, I went into a shell. I withdrew. I did not talk to people. I just locked up and no, that's not good, right? So first, understand your own way. Some people is self-study, but the thing with professional exam is, in university, you may feel like I just go to class, I revise my note and I pass. No, professional exam, class is not enough. You must still put in, matter of fact, I dare say, you must do more than what was done in class. You have to do more. You can't just say, oh, because star girl in school, star boy in school, what is professional exam? It will humble you. Okay, so beyond class, you need to put in the best. And if some things happen, it's fine. I think it was F3. The first time I did F3, I had 49. So, oh my God. But the thing is, professional exam, if you are failed where you have tough skin, remove is fine. But that first failure, I'm like, oh my God, I cried and cried. So what I should have done is move on quickly. Maybe go back to revision or something. So I took a while off to just cool off and all, right? And that affected that journey, the length and all. So once it has happened, don't feel like, oh, I'm the scum of the earth. I should not associate with anybody. You can take 1 week to cry, to be sad, but next thing, go into the drawing table. I failed. What do I need to do next? Is it that my time management is poor? Is it that I did not solve enough practice? Is it that I don't understand the fundamentals? Because the truth is, with professional exam, I mean, I'm speaking for ACCA, not ACA. I don't know about ACA. But ACCA, they do not repeat question. So if you think you will not understand the fundamentals and you just solve all the question back to back, which was mistakes I made, they will not repeat that question ever. So if you don't understand something and you maybe cram and all, once you get to the exam, of course you'll be shocked, because I don't even know the wicked people that set ACCA exams. Those people, they don't repeat questions. So, I mean, once failure happens, don't feel like, oh, and I mean, that's how the devil works. When he really wants to mess you up, first of all, he will seclude you from community, because community gives you strength. They give you encouragement, right? So it will seclude you, right? So, just ensure that you pick yourself up, go back to the drawing table. What do I need to do? It's the ground running, speak to friends and all. So that's one session on failure, right? So don't let it pull you back. Don't let it delay you. And sometimes, right, if you look back, if you're feeling down, you can look back. But at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm failing ACCA, but I'm not dumb. I'm doing well I'm doing well at work. My personal life is great. I'm healthy. I'm fine, right? So don't let that now make you lose sight of every other great thing that is happening in your life. No, don't let that happen to you. So the next thing is from my journey. So I moved to KPMG May 2022 last year, right? So I moved in. I'd accepted the role to be a grade lower, right? And then the interesting thing is also knowing your worth. Sometimes these people also know your worth, but they would want to lowball you to just be like, you know, I will price something. We know that this thing is more expensive, but we'll price it, right? So I got in, I had just 10 days because someone on that same grade was leaving, going to the industry. So first thing, why I liked that was, I was like, so someone at my grade can leave, right? Their opportunities are bound for this role. So I took that in and then I kept it. And then she was handing over to me one of the biggest oil and gas company, manufacturing, streaming. 10 days, she literally handed over to me. And what I did is, for me, it may not apply to you, but for me, right, to learn, I like to write. So I didn't assume if someone is teaching me something, I'm now shy and say, oh, I'll cram everything. No, I wrote it down. This is the step. Because she was leaving soon, what would I ask, right? So this is the step, this is the step, this is the step, this is the step. So that really helped, such that once she left, there was no gap at all in knowledge. But what I did is, okay, can I get your number? Because within that short time, we also built some sort of professional relationship. So I'll just ask her one question. But she knew that, oh, Tobi had done her best. I only added over to her in 8 or 10 days. And she's picking this up. And the managers and also, they were impressed, like, oh, wow, this person's already picking this up. There was no even lag or gap in this entire process. So I was doing all of those things. The workload was intense, right? And it was intense. It was new as well, but I was making sure I ask questions, I learn, I read, just so that I can catch up quickly, right? So now, another tip, right, is people would say you should pick two things. First of all, a job is a job, right? It is a job. That's what it is. If whatever happens to you, God forbid, and you die, AOPWC, KPMG, they're not going to close. Like, life goes on. So you need to ask yourself two things. Am I making enough on this job? If no, am I learning enough? But you would agree with me that if you're not making enough, or you're not learning enough, or you cannot see a career growth in it, what's the essence, right? I think you'd agree with me, because, I mean, the relationship should be mutually beneficial. I'm giving him my time, I'm giving him my service to clients, then I should get something that is commensurate with the value I'm also offering to this particular company. So I was there for, I think, 10 months. And for me, I just moved to a different country. So it was just really intense. And I got married just before I moved. So it was just, a lot was just happening and all. And then I sat down and said, okay, so first, all these things I'm learning, these were questions I asked myself, all these things I'm learning based on this grade that I was putting. First, I feel like all my valuable experience and years in Nigeria with this grade, they've thrown it away. So first thing is, I'm almost in the same grade with fresh graduates from university. So for me, I say, know your worth. I'm like, if I do say so myself, I'm good, okay? Like, I sabi the work. I know my worth. I shouldn't be on this grade, right? So I had that tough conversation with myself. That's number one. Number two, now that I was in the industry, I'm like, okay, can I do more? Yes, opportunities abound. Somebody was on the same grade and has gone to industry. This person is almost earning almost ×2 of what they are currently paying me for this grade. So that other question too, I found out and I kept it. The third thing is, I sat down and I said, okay, in this company, what's the career growth, right? So right now, I'm like a senior associate. And they're saying this year there's no promotion. That's number one. Another very important thing is, don't take word for mouth for what it is. So while I was accepting this role, the HR said, oh, because you have experienced and you're already coming as an assistant manager, within 6 months, you can be promoted to assistant manager here. This was a core conversation. It was not documented, right? So when it was October, no one said anything on the promotion and movement. And I mean, there are some people that you are fine with being on the same grade. That's fine. Don't feel pressured. But for me, growth is important to me. Career growth and transitioning from level to level is important to me. And I've accepted that, and I'm not ashamed of that, right? I want to move. And I mean, if you're not offering me that, what's it? But the thing is, in as much as all of this happened, like, I learned a lot within the 10 months, and I would not change it for anything. So the thing is, also, when sometimes life is offering you lemonades, sometimes it is to push you to say, can I be more? Can I do more? Imagine when all this was happening, I'm like, I'm already dejected. Let me just stay here. Let me just do this. Let me just do that. But I said, no, Tobi, you can be more. Start putting yourself outside. There's a lot of work here, and you've seen that they value it, which means that outside too, they will value it. So I was interacting with clients, and I would get email, oh, thank you so much. You've made this particular engagement easy. Matter of fact, 2 months into me joining, there was a client-facing training, and they called me for this training, and the client was like, oh, the training was amazing and all. So this is me linking this again to these trainings that I had invested in when I was in Nigeria, right? So it still paid off while I even moved to London to say, okay, people said, oh, I think you can facilitate part of this training. And I did it and it was good. So no knowledge is wasted. So there was that as well. I'm like, okay, what is the growth here? The assistant manager role did not happen when it was supposed to happen. Then we had another training and they said, oh, even when you make assistant manager, we have a 3 years rigorous training process. I'm like, anyway, another 3 years just for AM. Even if I was in Nigeria, I would have made manager in 4 months until I moved. So I'm like, okay, you know what? So these are not conversations that people can advise you. So some of you might have said, okay, you reached out to your mentor and they did not give you clear answer. Don't be angry with them. These are conversations you need to have with yourself and be honest with yourself. Right? As they will say, I did not come to London to Crown Bridge. I didn't do that. So I knew that, okay, there's a part. I need to make this cash. I need to feel valued and all right. So I was grateful for the experience. But this is a one-on-one personal experience. Someone else might be there now and be like, oh, I love this place. It's perfect. I don't even want to be promoted. I'm just chilling. I like the security and feeling timesheet and all of Big Four. That's fine. Me leaving does not make me more successful than this person. It's just understanding yourself and what you want part time. Simple. That's it, right? So, that's on the other journey of, okay, transitioning. And then again, I started applying and, rejection. And the thing with this is, now I was not just looking for a role. I was also looking for sponsorship. So just a summary. I mean, working in another, country, like UK, you need a company, you need to be tied to a company. This company has to say that they want sponsoring you to stay in this particular place. So some roles will be good. They say, oh no, we don't offer sponsorship. Oh no, we don't offer sponsorship. And all. But as you can tell already from my story that no, I don't give up. So I kept on applying. And for me, right, in as much as I don't want to over spiritualize this class, but there's always a God factor in my life, right? I can't even lie about that. So again, I'm like, okay, God, you just have to make a way, right? I'm ready. I'm even tired of feeling timesheet and no, Big Four, to be honest, I'm tired. I think I've done almost 7 years. So fine. So being true to myself, I didn't bother applying to any Big Four again. No, I was just, okay, applying to industry, and all right. So, this process started and all right. So I would say there's a God factor because, once you've made up your mind and you've done necessary steps. So in my LinkedIn, immediately I set up notification. I would personally say even if I want to leave, I would not put myself out there and put open to work banner. But I mean, for fresh graduates, that's when you can do it. But for me, experienced, I just felt that it would make me look too thirsty, right? My old contacts does not have to know I'm open to work. But what I would do is I set up notifications. So every day, any global mobility role, payroll role, I was constantly getting this. I was constantly applying, right? So now some lessons from Big Four to industry. So when you move to industry, everybody already expects a certain level of knowledge from you. You can't move to industry. And why am I saying this? Big Four is still a great place. Like, I'm not going to deny it. It gave me a solid foundation, right? So in industry, no one will start teaching you those small things again. They just expect that, oh, you're coming PwC, wow. Oh, KPMG, wow. You must know everything and solve all our problems for us in one day. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? But just to say, those experiences from Big Four, they shaped me. So then I started applying again, and then I saw the role for Maersk, Global Mobility Partner, sitting in London, but handling the whole of Africa and Maghreb. So Maghreb is a region. It's 5 countries, right? It's Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. So I was going to handle that as well as Africa, right? So I'm like, oh, I think this is divinely orchestrated, because who would believe that you will be handling all your valuable years in the Africa space will now come into play? And this role is not saying go back to Nigeria or South Africa, where the head office in Africa is, but still stay in London, right? So it was just perfect. And then I applied. I think I applied in November. There's something about November, now that I'm thinking about it, right? I think I'm going to take note of that month for whenever I'm ready again to transition. I know. So I applied, and then, to be honest, I forgot, because as I say, just keep applying. Don't apply. Oh, let me wait. No. So, and then they called and quickly said, oh, we want to schedule you for an interview. And I think December. So summary of everything. For this particular role, it was 4 interviews, right? And they were all over 1 hour, and it was extremely technical. There was nothing like, oh, tell me about yourself. Can you work under pressure? What is your... So to show you that you will grow, don't be in a hurry to see someone that has 7 years experience and you automatically want to be like them. No. In graduate training roles, they will ask you those questions just to know, okay, can you work? How do you work under pressure? But for industry role, they're like, you have almost 7 years experience. So it was case study. There's this case, someone is moving from Nigeria to UK. Is there a DTA with them? Are there transfer pricing issues? So they were extremely technical roles, with interviews with people with over 20 years experience and all, right? So gaining that skill, so you will be robbing yourself if you get a job in Big Four and you're not learning, or you will just be robbing yourself, right? So those experiences from Nigeria, from KPMG London, just helped me. And then I did the interviews and all. And I mean, now I had learned, I was wiser. So in terms of when the call again was added, oh, we really love, we want to offer you the role, but this is it. I'm like, no, let me sleep on it. I need to negotiate this. I need to defend myself to say, I don't want you to give me this. If you give me this in 3 months, I may feel disgruntled and be like, no, you're not offering me what is commensurate and all. So if a company wants you, to be honest, like they want you, right? And also one tip is, don't be afraid that if I tell them to increase the pay, they will now say no. Don't be afraid. This may not apply to fresh graduates roles, right? So take this information and listen well on it. For my first role with PwC, there was no room for negotiation. You are a fresh graduate. What do you know? But once you are growing in that ladder, then you can start to negotiate, because you are coming in at mid-level management, right? So we had a lot of calls back and forth and all. And there's one tip also, until they tell you like final offer, don't be afraid. Keep pushing politely. Say, oh, okay, can you review this? Can you review this? Can there be a sign-on? Can there be this? Can there be that and all, right? So we had a lot of conversation back and forth. And I mean, March, I resumed, right? And as I said, those experiences I had from Big Four is really helping me in this role, such that I'm not even easily scared if I see something like her and I'll be like, oh no, I'm like, nah, there's nothing new under the sun. I'll figure it out. I'll get it. And this was the confidence that even helped me. Also, don't sell yourself short. I think from the first interview with this role, what I learned is they wanted someone that was already in industry, but maybe they had interviews with industry people and they're like, okay, this is not good enough. Let's go with Big Four. So in those interviews, I was not afraid to say, I know that you want someone from industry. However, I think I can offer value, because with Big Four, for example, right now, this Big Four is your audit partner. I can liaise with them because I'm coming from Big Four. I know loopholes. I know what to say. I know what to this. And just in general, be better. Offer value to your company where you can help them save. So right now, as I've come in, I'm like, okay, no, before we reach out to this Big Four, I can figure this out. I can assist with this. That way, I'm saving the company revenue. And appraiser can come and I'll be like, oh, on these dates, you were supposed to pay so and so this amount for this advice, but I was able to prepare the advice, thereby saving the company this amount. So that's value add. That is you saying, okay, because you have employed me for this role, I'm adding value, I'm standing out, I'm closing cases. So another thing, in all of my work, in all of my office laptops, there's always been a folder for feedback. Don't wait for official feedback. If in an email someone says, oh, Peter, good job, screen grab it, use sniping to save it, because time for negotiations, you'll be like, okay, I got this feedback, I've got this feedback, and it's going to help me to grow. It's going to show that I've added value to this particular company. I've saved them revenue, I've helped them close cases, I've had a tracker. Before I joined, Nigeria to South Africa movies to take 6 months. When I joined, it's now reduced to 2 months. So sell your own self, blow your own on. Don't be afraid to say, when I came, I've done this, I've done that. Because sometimes they may also forget, and it may not be from a place of contempt or but you don't know, their own expectation may be this is the target, so you have to hit this target. But you come back to with evidence, not just story to say, but I know, I feel. Documents don't lie. If it's not documented, it's not done, right? So you would present that, on this I did this, on this I did that. So have that own folder for yourself to save your progress and all, right? Also, no knowledge is wasted. If I were you guys, the organizers and all, when I'm applying, once I'm done with school, I would put this experience, organized training for finance business partners, facilitated the training, package it well, like it's an experience, right? So I think just from each phase of your life, if it's bad, if it's good, there's always a lesson. Learn from it. See how you can improve from it. See how for future journey or future companies you can make sure they don't do that. Also look back, right? Not everything is money. Give back to the society. Invest in people, help people out, right? So I think I have hopefully covered all the questions, all your expectations. But any question or any clarification? But yeah, I think I am done talking, and I've been talking for 1 hour.
Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you very much. My daughter is full at this point. I don't even know what to say, the one that particularly stood out for me, but you said a lot that I really resonated with. Thank you very much once again. So right now we'll be taking questions from people. And before we go to the question session, please check the chat box. There is a link. Our speaker, she said we should not call her we should not call her Ma. Toby has something for us. Yeah, so use the link and she has something for us. And one of the most important criteria is that you must be a member of the finance business partners to be able to get access to the reward. So okay, now back to the session. If you have any question for our speaker, she has said a lot, and but you might still have some questions, personal questions that you want, you need answers or clarifications to. Can you please raise up your hand if you have a question? Okay, we have a question here from Oguleye Dare. Please, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
So my question is on changing jobs, especially at the earlier stage of one's career. Now, from your experiences, I can see that you have worked in different organizations within a very short period of time. But when it comes to changing jobs, especially at the early stage of one's career, some people would advise to want to relax and gain more experience, learn more, even though there might be some opportunities that would pay higher or more better packages than the present one. So what's your advice on it? Should one just sit back and learn at the early stage, or shoot the shot when any opportunity comes?
Okay.
That's my question.
Thank you, Dari. So the first thing is know your own why. Have your why, right? So I've not worked in different places for a short period. In PwC Nigeria, I was there for 5.5 years, right? So I didn't just stay 6 months and no, I stayed, I learned, I grew, right? So know your own why. I was absolutely happy with PwC. I was learning and all. The only reason I left is not because there was a problem with PwC. It was because, Nigeria is interesting. There's the opportunity and all, right? For my future, my children, I want to offer them opportunities that I did not have. So know your own why. So with PwC, I stayed 5.5 years. However, with KPMG, right, I stayed 10 months. I don't know when you joined, but I asked myself specific questions. Were they giving me what I needed? If you are not learning, you are owing money, pay your salary is not enough. You are not learning, you cannot see career growth. So what are you staying for, right? But if you are still learning, even if pay is small, but you are learning a lot, I would say tarry, wait. And also, even though I stayed 10 months in KPMG, cumulatively, I've had almost 7 years experience. And I had seen that, okay, with KPMG, I already have that solid foundation knowledge. The other things I can pick up easily even from industry and all, right? So that's why I'm like, okay, this one I can leave now, right? So know your own why. Have your own reason. The fact that people are leaving too does not mean you should leave immediately. Know your own why. Have your own reason, right? And that would help you make that informed decision that would help you part-time. And also for me, for me, prayer is important. So just seeking God's face and all, right? So that's the advice I'll give. Does that answer your question, Derek?
All right. Thank you.
Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. We have another person, Omotosho Yunuswa. Can you unmute your mic and ask your question as well?
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you, Tobi.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions to ask.
Okay.
Number one is, you know the way the settings are in the Big Four. I don't know the way it is in PwC, whereby, let's say, for instance, an associate will need to kind of start a particular work, give it to the senior to review before it goes to the manager or the likes. So, but if an individual have a kind of a manager, the manager doesn't actually work to you directly, and the manager, you feel like the way, there's a particular, there's how you can feel like this particular person doesn't have that kind of confidence in me. How can, let's say an associate, or let's say an A2, ensure that his or her manager or partner has that confidence in him? You get that kind of a thing that I know this is not as if that is number one question. I don't know if you get that question.
I do.
Okay. Number 2 is, if you know the way it is, if let's say you have a particular senior that you know that this particular person knows nothing, but if they had jobs, it is kind of easy for you if you have, let's say, a senior that is kind of willing to help to share the work together. Meanwhile, giving you everything to start with, if they are now kind of flop, all the blames will be on you. How can that particular person solve the particular issue?
Okay. Thank you. Very interesting question. So I'll start with the first one. And I'm going to answer this based on a Big Four setting. I don't know if this case is maybe second tier, but for Big Four, you always have a coach, right? You have a coach that you can speak to, that you would have relationship with, to say, this is my engagement. I'm having this issue. I'm having that issue, right? So the first focal point is speak to your coach. That's number 1. Number 2, trust is earned, right? Trust is earned. If you have in Nigerian parlance, Big Four, when you make mistake, they say you've cooked beans. If you've been cooking beans for somebody, fine. Deep down, they'll have that bias that, this person's beans, this person's work, I need to review, because everywhere will just be full of beans. So the truth is, you need to earn that trust back, right? You need to earn it to say, okay, now I'm going to self-review my work before I send it to them. Matter of fact, if I'm not close to this particular senior, I'm sure there's another senior that is my friend that can say, please, can I just bring my laptop to you? Can you help me review it before I send it to this other senior? I can just share my screen. Just help me look at it, right? So that's another angle that you can come with. The third one is, don't come with, and this also transits to the second question. Don't come with bragging attitude, like, even though I know more than this person, I know. First of all, we Big Four, everybody's best and brightest. It may just be that in that particular phase, the senior is going through a lot, or they have family problem, or they even want to jack and they're just like, I'm tired of this work. I know. So first, don't come with that bragging attitude, right? Just still listen. And sometimes, even if technically you are good, you are better than them, there's also some business acumen skills that they have. If there's information they are privy to that you may not know. Because you agree with me that sometimes there's clients meeting. They won't take the associates. It's the senior, the manager, and that they will take, right? So first, humble yourself. Go to them and say, okay, what is this? How can I improve? I've noticed in this job, is there something else you particularly like me to do? How can I improve? Speak to your friends that are on that same grade senior to say, okay, how can I impress this person, right? And in doing the entire job, Also with Big Four, risk is very high. And I will tell you for free that once there's serious beans, it hardly ever gets to the associates. Because, first of all, an associate from you, it should not go straight to the client. The senior should review it. The manager should review it. If it's advised, the partner will review it. So in the chain of those that we chop beating, we are down, right? Like, it's that senior that they will go to say, but you're a senior, this person is just A2, right? Did you not review this? Did you not review that? Did you not review this? So that's also the place of documentation. Rather than sending chat to them, say, should I send it? And they just go and say, send it. That way you don't have backup. Send an email. Kindly find attached draft for your review and your approval. Upon your approval, I'll send it to the clients, right? So have that backing. And also, don't feel like, oh, if there's an issue, it will transcend to you. That senior will chop dressing, because the way it is the higher your pay, the more responsibility is expected of you. Like, you need to earn your pay with Big Four, right? So first, trust is earned. If you have history of cooking beans, of course there's trust issues. And it's like any relationship, right? If the person is misbehaving, even boyfriend, girlfriend, you'll be like, I don't trust you. Where are you going to? This one, that one, right? But when this person has changed over time, then you let your guard down. You trust this person more. So it's like any other relationship. You need to build that trust back to say, even though before I used to cook beans and now I'm better. Now I review my work. I make sure there's no error. I cross-check my formulas and all, right? Also, be humble, learn, right? No knowledge is wasted. Even if they are giving you all the work, fine, do it. But make sure you still put that responsibility on that senior to say, please review my work, review it. The software you've not sent it, say, I sent it to you, please, you know me, I'm just an associate. Beg, please help me review it. Yes, I know that I've done it, but please just help me review it. So they would also feel like, okay, oh, she rates me, right? She rates me. And also there's something with documenting. Once there's a track record that you sent this thing to them via email, and maybe they never review, they say send. Once there's an issue, you can go back to say, but I sent it to you. You are my organ, you are my senior. Of course, I'm allowed to cook beans at this stage. You are the one that's supposed to be catching all my beans. You did not catch it. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Tobi.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toby, for those beautiful answers. So please, if you still have questions for Toby, can you also signify? Okay, so someone asked something here. He's saying, dear Toby, I particularly love the area where you talk about humility in learning. A lot of professionals have lost vital opportunities to grow in their career due to oversabi. In addition to always taking advantage of growth and development opportunities, young professionals must be willing to subject themselves to learning. Thank you.
And I mean, yeah, absolutely right. And I'll give you an example. At a time, I was working with someone, and I just knew that I don't want to go into so much detail. So I think I'm not going to give that example. But sometimes it happens where you can see that you are better than this person and all. But just, first of all, nobody wants to be the one whose head will be served on a platter, right? There are instances where I've seen that this person has reviewed and this thing is wrong. In that case too, because there's an element of pride. In that case, rather than sending email to say what you did is wrong, for that I can just send Teams message just to say, oh, I noticed this thing. No, I think it's this other way, right? I don't think this is I think it's this other way. Is it okay if I correct it? You know it's right, but there's a way you can speak. You can't just come to scene and say, there are these things not correct too. You did not prorate it accordingly. Didn't you see it's 21 working days? It should be 14 over 21 times 2,000. You did 13. Didn't you count it well? No. Like, go there to just say, oh, please, there's an observation. So I actually noticed that in this month, there's 21 working days. So I did an updated version, but I still saved your own version in case there's something that I'm not seeing, but I've sent you a version to note that, okay, this is not correct, right? And some people too are very difficult and all right. If you said that, they still say, go back to my own. That one, you can just send an email to say, as discussed, further to your instruction, I'm going to proceed with your own version. That's enough. When it casts, there's an entire email trail, right? And they would see that. So, just the attitude, the humility and all, because you work with different people. right? Different people. Some people, they have other issues. So don't always think you're the problem. You're the problem. For some people, it's crazy at home is that they've been on a grade for so long. So they are so demotivated. They are already disgruntled. Like, I even hate this company. I can't wait to leave, right? So just help them too, right? So, yep.
Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you very much. Please, if you know you have any other question or if you have a contribution. Okay, Ogunleye Dari, you have a question,
Yeah, thank you.
please.
My question is what's the relevance of professional certifications? Because you have emphasized so much on learning. And much of this learning are what someone can learn maybe outside the certification. These things are not taught because of acquiring those certifications. Does professional certification really fast track career growth? Or what's the relevance?
Okay, so I'll bring it from the two regions that I've lived and worked in, right? In Big Four, you cannot be a manager if you are not chartered. You cannot. So I think that is enough weight already. I don't think I need to speak on that. Nigeria likes education. Gosh. They like SCCA, ABCD, EFGH, CIPM, this one. And for that region, it is important. So that's the essence. Imagine how you would feel. Let me say you have been an assistant manager. Someone was an associate. Right now, they are not considering you for promotion because you are not chartered. Your associate has moved to SA, senior associate. You are still on AM. Assistant manager, you are still on AM. That same associate that you trained is now become manager. You will not be happy. Nobody likes to be stagnant. So in the region of Nigeria, in the region of accounting, professional exam is highly rated. Fine, in real life scenario, it may not have so many relevance, but as I say, education opens doors for you. When you enter that room, you may never use it but just to open that door, education does that for you. Professional exam does that. And if you go on LinkedIn, you even see so many financial ACCA preferred, MBA preferred, Masters preferred. So it opens that door. So I would say yes, it's relevant. Now to London. I will tell you for free that I had very top colleagues here that they didn't go to university and they're in the pinnacle of our industry. They didn't go maybe college or something like that. So right here, it's not a big deal. Right here, they value experience more, right? But you also need to look at the big picture. So even though right here, they value experience more, you don't know what is your future plan. For example, you may want to retire at UN. I know UN likes masters. That way, you've already seen your future that, even though these people, they are not qualified. I know that I don't want to stay here forever. I want to move. That way, it's opened out that door for you. So I hope that answers your question. Nigeria, that's the truth. It's important. Right here, but also for this industry, I've not seen it. Matter of fact, actually, I think now they're introducing it gradually, because when I was in KPMG, some of those questions arose, like saying, okay, if you want to do CTA, which is their tax exam, so. But what I would say is, don't choke yourself with exam. Everybody's doing CIPM. Oh, yeah, let me do it. Everybody's doing PMP. Let me do it. SCC, everybody's doing, let me do it. Now, Scrum is raining. PSM, let me do it. No. Know your own path and do exams that are relevant to that role. Exams that are relevant to your own career growth and your own earning power. Yes, that's what I would say. Another thing is with Big Four, even before you get to manager level, let me say an associate and no. Associates that are chartered earn more than associates that are not chartered. So you see that in the region of Nigeria, in the region of Big Four, it is important and it holds weight. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I don't know, but I think it does. It actually does. Thank you very much. So, Omotosho, you're still raising up your hand. You probably have another question for Oluwatobi. Omotosho, do you have any other question for Oluwatobi? Okay, I think
No.
that's...
No.
No, okay. So if you know you have a question, please just raise up your hand and let us take your question. Okay, I don't think we have any other question.
Okay.
Okay, so once again, thank you very much, Toby, for your time this evening. It was a beautiful, enlightening, educative, interactive session. I learned a lot. I liked it, Sha.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
I'm really happy that you liked it. Happy that
Yeah.
you guys learned something. And again, I'm grateful for the opportunity, right? I'm just sharing my experiences and taking note of these pivotal things. And I hope that some mistakes that I've made, you don't make it again. So well done. I think,
Yeah.
the whole planning committee and all you guys are doing great. Shout out to Sean. We have a whole trail of messages on LinkedIn. So well done. I admire the tenacity and I think this is a really good opportunity. So thank you too. And well done everyone.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much, Mr. Balogu. And thank you to everyone that came here and made themselves available. Thank you very much. Please, before we go, like in the chat box, there is a link to Toby's LinkedIn. Do well to connect with our LinkedIn and also to our if you are not yet a member of the FDP community, the link to our LinkedIn page is there, and also the link to the general WhatsApp page is also there. So I don't know if you could all just unmute our mics and tell our beautiful speaker. Thank you very much for your time this evening. If your hands are not too busy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. So on the rewards, I will connect with Sean as well. So he will share it accordingly. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma.
You're
Do have a
welcome.
nice week, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.